Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Now we will discuss scapula. Scapula is also known as shoulder bone. The scapula word is derived from a Latin word scapul, which means shoulder blade. So it is also known as shoulder blade. Shoulder bone or shoulder blade is a large, flat, triangular bone. See here in this diagram, it is a triangular bone that lies on the posterior chest wall between second to seventh rib. So that you can learn the level of the scapula, it lies between second rib to seventh rib. It articulates with the acromial extremity of the clavicle. See here in this diagram, it is articulating with the acromial end of the clavicle and the head of the humerus. Okay, so it is articulated with these two bones, clavicle and the humerus. See here in this diagram, there are many bony features of the scapula. See here in this diagram, there are many angles, sides, okay, borders of the scapula. I will explain all these features one by one. The major defining features of the scapula are the three borders. See here, there are three borders of the scapula. This is lateral border of the scapula, this is medial border of the scapula, and this is superior border of the scapula. Three borders. Then there are three angles. This is superior angle of the scapula, then there is inferior angle of the scapula, and there is the lateral angle of the scapula. Then there are two surfaces. Can you see here? This is the ventral surface. This is anterior view. So this is the ventral surface of the scapula, which is also called as the costal surface. And this one is the dorsal or the posterior surface of the scapula. And there are three large bony processes. One is called as the spine of the scapula, which is present on the posterior surface of the scapula. This is spine. See here in this diagram, this is spine or the spinous process. Then there is coracoid process. This is coracoid process, which we can see from the anterior view. And there is acromion process, which is the continuation of the spine of the scapula. This is acromion process of the scapula. So the main defining features are three borders. This is superior border, this is medial border, and this is lateral border. Then there are three angles. This is superior angle, inferior angle, and the lateral angle. Then there are two surfaces. This is costal surface and this is posterior or the dorsal surface. Then there are three bony processes. This is coracoid process, this is spine of the scapula, and in continuation to the spine of the scapula, this is acromion process of the scapula. So these are the defining features which we have to learn. You should know that scapula is of right side or left side. Okay, this is side determination of the scapula. See here, whenever you hold the scapula in your hand, you have to put or you have to place this side, all these processes on the lateral side of your body. This is on the lateral side because this is lateral border. Always remember, the medial border is the one in which there are no processes or which is smooth one. So this is medial border, it will come on the medial side, and this is lateral border along with the glenoid cavity, because here the humerus has to articulate to form the shoulder joint. This will come on the lateral side, and all these processes, they will come on the lateral side. Then these processes are on the superior side also, because the inferior angle will be acute angle. See here, this is the inferior angle, it will come down. So these processes will come superiorly. So we will place the medial border medially, lateral border laterally. This is superior side and this one is inferior side. Then how will you remember that which one is the dorsal surface and which one is the costal surface? Remember that the spine of the scapula and the acromion processes, they are coming posteriorly on the dorsal surface. They are present on the dorsal surface, always remember. So the surface which has no spine or where the coracoid process is present will come anteriorly. Okay, so you will place this surface anteriorly, or this is the costal surface or the ventral surface or the anterior surface, and the other surface where the spine of the scapula and the acromion processes are present, that surface is the posterior surface or the dorsal surface. So in this way you can handle or you can place the scapula on the correct side, right side or left side. So you will determine the side determination of the scapula. Now we will describe each and every border, angle and surface one by one. First of all, the borders of the scapula. See here in this diagram, this is the superior border of the scapula, and this one which is smooth one is the medial border, and another one which is thick also and having many processes and the cavity, that is the lateral border of the scapula. So the superior border is short, it is thin, it is superior edge of the scapula. There is a notch. Can you see here a notch which is called as the scapular notch? It is located on the lateral aspect of the superior border. See here, when we go along the superior border, this is the medial aspect of the superior border, and this one is the lateral aspect of the superior border. Here there is one notch which is called as the scapular notch, and it is at the base of the coracoid process. See here, it is near the base of the coracoid process. There is one ligament which is bridging this notch. That ligament is called as superior transverse scapular ligament. Again, I will repeat, there is one ligament which is bridging this notch. That ligament is named as superior transverse scapular ligament. Normally the suprascapular artery passes superior to the ligament. Remember this thing, that the suprascapular artery will cross above the ligament and the suprascapular nerve will pass inferior to the ligament, or because there is one point which you can, through which you can remember that army goes over the bridge. So A army and A artery, so suprascapular artery will cross above the bridge and navy goes under the bridge, navy and nerve. So suprascapular nerve will pass inferior to the bridge or under the bridge. Okay, so this is about the superior border. I will repeat, this is the superior border which is short and thin. Okay, there is one notch which is called as the scapular notch, which is near the base of the coracoid process. This scapular notch is bridged by the ligament which is named as superior transverse scapular ligament. The suprascapular artery will cross above the ligament and the suprascapular nerve will pass below the ligament or under the bridge. Okay. Now we will discuss the medial border. Can you see here? This is the medial border, which is also called as the vertebral border because it is related with the vertebra, or it is near the vertebra. That's why it is named as the vertebral border. It is a long medial edge of the scapula and it is closely located to the vertebral column. Okay, it is located very closely to the vertebral column. That's why it is named as vertebral border. Now we will discuss the lateral border. See here, this is the lateral border which is also named as axillary border. Okay, axillary border, it is thickened one. It is lateral edge of the scapula and it is located closest to the axilla. That's why it is named as axillary border. Okay, so in this diagram we have learned three borders. This is superior border, then this is medial border, and this one is the lateral border. Now we will discuss the angles of the scapula. This is superior angle of the scapula which is present at the junction of the superior border and the medial border. Okay, so in between the superior and the medial border there is superior angle of the scapula. Then the another angle is the inferior angle which is present at the junction of the medial border and the lateral border. The inferior angle of the scapula can be palpated easily in the living subject, and it marks the level of the 7th rib and the spine of the 7th thoracic vertebra. This will come in your exam, that the inferior angle is present at the level of the 7th rib and the spine of the 7th thoracic vertebra. Then we will discuss the lateral angle. See here, lateral angle is present at the junction of the superior border and the lateral border. This is called as lateral angle or glenoidal angle. Why it is called as glenoidal angle? Because here the glenoid cavity is present. See here, this is glenoid cavity with which the head of the humerus will articulate and form the shoulder joint. So in this slide we have discussed three angles, which is superior angle, inferior angle and the lateral angle. Now we will discuss the surfaces one by one. First of all, the lateral angle of the scapula, or the we have discussed the lateral angle, superior angle and the inferior angle. So first of all, lateral angle of the scapula. See here, the lateral angle of the scapula is the thickest one. See here, this is the thickest angle of the scapula and it is the most complex part of the scapula. It is composed mainly of the broadened processes which is named as the head of the scapula. Can you see here the head of the scapula that is connected to the rest of the bone by a slight constriction which is named as the neck of the scapula. First of all, there is the head of the scapula, then there is the neck of the scapula. Okay, the lateral surface of the head forms a shallow articular surface which is called as the glenoid cavity or the glenoid fossa. Glen word is a Greek word which means pit or socket, and it is for the head of the humerus to form the shoulder joint. In this diagram also you can see here, this is the head of the scapula and it will be articulated with the rest of the bone by a constricted part which is called as the neck of the scapula, and this glenoid cavity is a shallow pit or a socket for the head of the humerus. A fibrocartilaginous rim which is called as a glenoid labrum, it rims the margin of the glenoid cavity and it serves to broaden and deepen the joint cavity. Okay, so that head of the humerus should not be displaced or should not be dislocated. A small elevation, you can see here in this diagram, a small elevation which is called as the supraglenoid tubercle, because it is present above the glenoid cavity. That's why it is named as supraglenoid tubercle, is located at the apex of the glenoid cavity. It is near the base of the coracoid process. See here, it is near the base of the coracoid process. This is supraglenoid tubercle. And there is one roughened area which is named as infraglenoid tubercle, and it is located immediately inferior to the glenoid cavity. Okay, so this is infraglenoid tubercle. Above there is supraglenoid tubercle where the long head of the biceps attach, and below is the infraglenoid tubercle where the long head of the triceps is attached to it. Okay, remember one thing, that the capsule of the shoulder joint will include the supraglenoid tubercle, so that the long head of the biceps is intracapsular, whereas the infraglenoid tubercle is outside the capsule of the shoulder joint, so that the long head of the tricep is outside the capsule and it is named as extracapsular. Again, I will repeat, long head of the bicep is intracapsular and long head of the triceps is extracapsular. The long head of the biceps or bicep is the muscle of the anterior compartment of arm, and tricep is the muscle of the posterior compartment of arm. See here in this diagram, you can see the superior angle here, and this is the lateral angle where the glenoid cavity is present, and this one is the inferior angle. Okay, this is a very good diagram in which you can learn all features of the scapula. Now we will discuss the surfaces. First of all, the posterior surface. See here, this is the posterior surface of the scapula. We will recognize the posterior surface by the spine. This is the spine of the scapula, which is continued as the acromion process. This is the dorsal or the posterior surface of the scapula. It is subdivided into two unequal size regions by this spine of the scapula. The above region is small and the below region is big. The smaller trough-like area superior to the spine is called as supraspinous fossa. Why it is called as supraspinous fossa? Because it is above the spine. Supraspinous fossa. And a much large area inferior to the spine is called as infraspinous fossa. The spine is a large triangular ridge that runs laterally from the medial border. See here, it is running from the medial border of the scapula to merge into the acromion process of the scapula. So the dorsal surface of the scapula is divided by the spine of the scapula into two regions. Above one is called as supraspinous region and below one is called as infraspinous region. Infraspinous means it is below the spine. Supraspinous means it is above the spine. The lateral border of the spine blends with the neck of the scapula. See here, it will blend with the neck of the scapula and it will form a notch, or which is just like a passageway, which is named as spinoglenoid notch or greater scapular notch. See here, this is glenoid cavity and this is the spine of the scapula. In between the glenoid cavity and the spine of the scapula, there is a small notch, okay, or a pathway or a passageway, which is named as spinoglenoid notch, okay, because it is in between the spinous process and the glenoid cavity. That's why it is named as spinoglenoid notch or the greater scapular notch, okay, which is connecting the supraspinous fossa above and infraspinous fossa below. This allows the suprascapular nerve and vessel to pass between these fossas, okay. The suprascapular notch is giving way to the suprascapular artery and suprascapular nerve to come from the supraspinous fossa to the infraspinous fossa. Okay, now we will discuss something about the acromion process. The acromion or acromio is a Greek word for the point of the shoulder. Okay, so this is the point of the shoulder. It is broad, flat, lateral extension of the spine of the scapula. This forms the easily palpable tip of the shoulder. Okay, when we feel the tip of the shoulder, it is actually the acromion process of the scapula which is forming the tip of the shoulder. It partly roofs over the glenoid cavity and it provides an articulation with the clavicle at the acromioclavicular joint. Remember this thing we have discussed in the clavicle also, that clavicle is articulating with the acromion process of the scapula to form the acromioclavicular joint, which is a plain variety of the synovial joint. Okay, so remember all these structures. Now we will discuss the ventral surface. This is the ventral surface, which is also named as the costal surface. Why it is named as costal surface? Because it is related with the ribs, okay, or it is also named as ventral or anterior surface. Ventral and anterior terms are same, okay. So it is costal, ventral or anterior surface of the scapula which lies against the posterior aspect of the rib cage. Remember this thing, that's why it is named as costal surface. There is a large part of this surface which forms a shallow concavity, and this shallow concavity is named as subscapular fossa. This is subscapular fossa. Okay, on the anterior surface we have a process which is named as coracoid process. This is a coracoid process. Coraco is a Greek word which means like a crow beak. Okay, it is just like a crow beak. It is a thick beak-like structure that projects anterolaterally from the junction of the neck and the lateral end of the superior border of the scapula. See here, this is the superior border of the scapula, this is the lateral end of the superior border, and this is the lateral angle. So in between the lateral angle and the lateral edge of the superior border of the scapula, there is a process which is crow beak like, and it is named as coracoid process. Coracoid process. This is the diagram which is showing the different muscles and the ligaments attached to the scapula. Okay, so we will learn all these features one by one. First of all, see here on the costal surface, there is a big muscle which is attached here. Can you see a big muscle which is attached on the ventral or the costal surface? This is subscapularis. Subscapularis is arising from the medial two-third of the subscapular fossa. This is subscapular fossa. Here subscapularis muscle is attached. This is number 1 muscle. Okay. Then there is serratus anterior muscle. Can you see here serratus anterior muscle? It is inserted along the medial border. This is medial border, which is smooth one. Here the serratus anterior muscle is inserted along the medial border of the costal surface. Okay. One digitation is present to the superior angle. Two digitations are present on the medial border, and other 5 digitations are present on the inferior angle. Okay, so remember all these digitations of the serratus anterior muscle, which is attached on the medial border of the costal surface. Okay, now we will come on the dorsal surface. See here, this is supraspinatus muscle, which is attached on the supraspinous fossa. Okay, or attached to the medial 2/3 of the supraspinous fossa. Number 4 is infraspinatus. This is infraspinatus muscle, which arises from the medial 2/3 of the infraspinous fossa, okay, or below the lower part of the or lower surface of the spine. So up till now we have learned 4 muscles. Number 1 is subscapularis, which is attached on the subscapular fossa. Number 2 is serratus anterior muscle. Number 3 is supraspinatus, and number 4 is infraspinatus muscle. Now we'll come over the acromion process and the spine of the scapula. Can you see here? There is a deltoid muscle. Can you see the deltoid muscle, which is arising from the lower border of the crest of the spine? This is the crest of the spine. So deltoid muscle is originating from the lower border of the crest of the spine and from the lateral border of the acromion. It is present over 2 parts. Number 1, it is present on the lateral part of the acromion, and it is present on the lower part of the spine of the scapula. This is deltoid muscle. This is the 5th muscle which we have learned. Now we will see the trapezius muscle. Trapezius muscle is inserted into the upper border of the crest of the spine of the scapula and the medial border of the acromion. Okay, it is present on the medial border of the acromion and the upper border of the spine of the scapula. This is trapezius muscle. Okay. Now, before I have told you the long head of the biceps, which is attached to the supraglenoid tubercle. So this is the long head of the biceps, which is attached here, okay, which will be intracapsular. It will be intracapsular. Then there will be this long head of the biceps. It not only arises from the supraglenoid tubercle, but it will also arise, or it is giving one part from the lateral part of the tip of the coracoid process. Can you see here, which will be short head of the biceps? So both head of the biceps are present here. Again, I will repeat, the long head is originated from the supraglenoid tubercle and the short head of the biceps is originating from the tip of the coracoid process. This is the tip of the coracoid process. Then you can see here, there is one muscle which is named as coracobrachialis. Okay, along with the short head of the biceps, there is one muscle which is named as coracobrachialis muscle. These muscles are the muscle of the anterior compartment of arm. Okay, so there are 2 muscles which are present on the tip of the coracoid process. One is short head of the biceps and one is coracobrachialis muscle. Now you can see here there is one muscle which is named as pectoralis minor muscle. It is inserted into the medial border and the superior surface of the coracoid process. This is pectoralis minor muscle. Up till now we have discussed the subscapularis, then supraspinatus, infraspinatus, deltoid muscle, trapezius muscle, long head of the biceps, short head of the biceps, coracobrachialis and pectoralis minor muscle. Then the long head of the triceps, which I have told you, it is present over the infraglenoid tubercle. See here, this is red colored red color shown muscle, which is long head of the triceps muscle. Red means it is the origin and blue means it is the insertion of the muscle. Remember this thing. These two colors which are shown in the diagram are for the origin and insertion of the muscle. Origin means here the muscle is starting and insertion means here the muscle is ending. So long head of the triceps is originating from the infraglenoid tubercle. Now we will discuss some other muscles which are teres minor. See here, this is teres minor muscle which arises from the upper third or upper two-third of the rough strip on the dorsal surface along the lateral border. See here, this is lateral border, this is posterior surface. So along the lateral border on the posterior surface below the long head of the triceps, which was attached at the infraglenoid tubercle, we have teres minor muscle. Minor comes first. So this is teres minor which will come first. This is teres minor. Below the teres minor, we have on the lateral border, we have teres major muscle. Can you see here? This is teres major which arises from the lower one-third on the roughest strip on the dorsal aspect of the lateral border. So on the lateral border, on the costal, on the posterior surface, we have three muscles. Number one is long head of the triceps, then we have teres minor muscle, and then we have teres major muscle. Okay, teres major muscle. At the inferior angle, we have a muscle which is named as latissimus dorsi. See here, this is latissimus dorsi muscle which is present at the inferior angle. Now we will come on the medial border. This is medial border. Okay, you can see here one muscle which is inserted on the medial border above. This is levator scapulae muscle. Okay, it is inserted on the dorsal aspect of the medial border. Okay, from the superior angle up till the root of the spine. This is levator scapulae muscle. Okay, then there is rhomboids minor. Just like here, teres minor is coming first. So here rhomboids minor is coming first. Okay, the rhomboids minor muscle is inserted into the medial border, dorsal aspect of the medial border, opposite the root of the spine of the scapula. This is rhomboids minor. Below the rhomboids minor, there is rhomboids major muscle. This rhomboids major is inserted into the medial border, dorsal aspect between the root of the spine of the scapula and the inferior angle. Okay, this is rhomboids major muscle. So up till now we have discussed some new muscles. What are they? Long head of the triceps, teres minor muscle, teres major muscle, then levator scapulae, rhomboids minor and rhomboids major. So these are some muscles which are attached to the scapula. Okay. I hope you understand all muscles which are attached. I will repeat again. This is subscapularis attached on the ventral surface, subscapular fossa. Then we have supraspinatus and infraspinatus on the posterior surface of the scapula. Then we have deltoid and trapezius on the spine of the scapula and the acromion process. Then we have learnt the long head of the biceps on the supraglenoid tubercle, long head of the triceps on the infraglenoid tubercle, and we have learnt short head of the biceps and the coracobrachialis on the tip of the coracoid process, and the pectoralis minor on the somewhat lateral part of the coracoid process. Then we have serratus anterior muscle which we have learned, and on the dorsal surface along the lateral border we have learned long head of the triceps, teres minor and teres major. On the inferior angle we have latissimus dorsi, and on the medial border on the dorsal surface we have the levator scapulae, rhomboids minor and rhomboids major muscle. So these were some muscles which were attached to the scapula. In this diagram also you can see here there are all muscles which are attached. Okay, serratus anterior muscle, subscapularis muscle, okay, deltoid, trapezius, Then there is long head of the triceps, teres minor, teres major will be there. This is latissimus dorsi, this is levator scapulae, rhomboids minor and rhomboids major muscle. Okay, this spine of scapula is opposite T3, that is the third thoracic vertebra. Remember this thing, third thoracic vertebra. Now we will discuss some of the clinical applications. Number 1, scapular fractures. Fracture of the scapula are usually the result of severe trauma such as occurs in the run-over accident victims or in the occupants of the automobiles involved in crashes. Injuries are usually associated with the fractured ribs. Most fractures of the scapula require little direct treatment because the muscles on the anterior and the posterior surfaces, they adequately splint the fragments. Now the most important clinical application which you have to learn and which will come in your exam is winging of the scapula or the drooped shoulder and the winged scapula. The position of the scapula on the posterior wall of the thorax, it is maintained by the tone and the balance of the muscles which are attached on it. If one of these muscle is attached, the balance is upset, okay, as in the drooped shoulder. Drooped shoulder which occurs with the paralysis of the trapezius muscle. Remember this thing, droop shoulder occur with the paralysis of the trapezius muscle, or winged scapula, okay, which is caused by the paralysis of the serratus anterior muscle. See here, drooped shoulder will be occurring because of the paralysis of the trapezius muscle, and winging of the scapula will be because of the paralysis of the serratus anterior muscle. Okay, in winging of scapula, what happens? There is a paralysis of the serratus anterior muscle because of injury to the nerve which is supplying the serratus anterior, which is the long thoracic nerve. Okay, so it will cause the winging of the scapula. Now this was the lecture about the scapula. I hope you understand. Thank you very much.